What's up, people? Peace and blessings. Let's go in. I see they're not ready for the level of information that I'm bringing, right? You know, when a people stuck in a belief system and they call it truth, you know what I mean? It's hard for them to break that spell. They usually stay spellbound. Do black people know what Eumelanin is? Know thyself. Okay. Do black people know what Eumelanin is? Know thyself. Now, we have a majority of black people in America today who feel like they're Indians. Okay. And you can believe whatever you want to believe, but Indian is also a misnomer, right? All of the Indians in America don't agree to be labeled or called Indians, okay? The problem with these quote-unquote aboriginals in America is they like to follow the mankind race information about who they are. When they give you that information, they're not giving you no information from a black Indian from the past, a black Afro-American that's talking about black Indians, okay? That's rare. A lot of information you're going to find is going to come from the Spanish, the Portuguese, the British, the Dutch, the French, and so on and so forth. But I'm here to let you know that all black people came out of Africa and hit every continent, okay? These so-called aboriginals will not tell you the origins of how they got to America, okay? We haven't heard that yet. We haven't heard that yet. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why they play debate games. You know, they'll debate against other quote-unquote black ethnicities, Moors, Egyptians, you know what I'm saying, African Americans. That keeps you reeled in like a fish on a hook. But they're not giving you no true information, okay? So I'm going to go into the little information that I have. It's not little, it's major information, but, okay, this 9 science. And then I'm going to play a video from a ghost brother who's going to show you how everything started in Africa. It's very quick. You can make it to the end, and you're going to see how the pieces of the puzzles come together. And I dare anybody to debate it other than saying, man, we don't believe in what the white man talking about. Do it better, because I've already done it. So let's go into my video. Now you see that information on the board? Or where my people was from, Missouri, Shawnee. All right? You're not an Indian before you an African. My family carried your name. And I'd like you to prove that. So I'm breaking it down for you right now. They follow the ways of the sun. They follow the sun God. Now I'm saying it's not just limited to these Native American tribes, the Mississippi tribes, right? The East Coast tribes, the West Coast tribes, the Midwest tribes. Stop being a hater, nigga. Pretty much. And show your information of your origins. Of the sun God. Okay? Stop being a hater, nigga. And show the origins of where you come from. By way of language. Okay? The East Coast tribes, the Southern tribes. Okay, now these is creations the flesh and blood gods and goddesses. This is pre-human creation, all right? But what I want you to see is the highlight, okay? The beginning of the Nile River on the continent once called Ethiopia, while the Atlantic Ocean was known as the Ethiopian Sea. We're talking about the creation of Eumelaninated gods and goddesses. Okay? The Nile River starts from Lake Victoria, all right? We also call it the Nile River, okay? The African race, also called the Ethiopian race, was born from the source of the Nile River in equatorial Africa, okay? And that's Lake Victoria. You see that right there? Now, this is not the original name. That's the given name. Lake Victoria. All right. Now, what you got to peep out, right? It's tall humans and it's pygmy humans on the planet. You know that question, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I'm going to ask you what came first. The pygmy Eumelaninate or the tall or giant Eumelaninate. Okay? Now think about it now. Think about it now. How we go from 7 feet tall, 6 feet tall, and things of that nature, almost 7 feet tall, 6'7", 6'5", 6'3", 5'10", 5'11", you know, and then produced the pygmy races. Okay? What do I mean by pygmy races? We're talking about the Congo, man. How come these people, how come they stay pygmies? African pygmies may be older than thought. Let's check this out. There's a lot of information. I'm going to click out of it. Let's check it out. All right, that page wasn't loading. It's all right, because we don't even need that. But I want you to pay attention. Okay? Now, were these people, because we consider these people the origins of the tall people through nature and through evolution, right? Are these people found in America? Let's look at some little information. Let's go to my favorite site, Wiki. Okay. Okay, so they were native to mostly the Congo Basin. You got the Bambinga, Mbinga, Cameroon, Gabon, Republic of the Congo, Central African Republic. Okay, the Batwa or the Twa. Now, if you really dig into Egyptian knowledge, right, you're going to see a lot of it, and a lot of the words come from the Twa language. Okay? Now look, you got an African pygmy, which is a Greek term. Okay? You got an Asiatic pygmy, name applied to the Negrito population. Okay? People in Malaysia, look, they got afros. Okay? They got afros. This is what I'm talking about. Woolly hair. We need to see a concentration of black Aboriginal Americans pinpointed in America, right? Not one or two or three or four or five pictures, because I already broke down what origins are. You see that? Origins at the top left. Okay. So that's the Negritos. All right. Origins in history. The lineage of African pygmies is strongly associated with mitochondrial maternal line haplogroup L1 with a divergence time between 170,000 and 100,000 years ago. They were partially absorbed or displaced by later immigration of agricultural peoples of the Central Sudanic and Ubangian phyla beginning about 5,500 years ago. Okay. Now, when you go into our information, we talk about the first pygmy god races that was created 18 million years ago. Okay. When y'all talking about y'all aboriginals, okay, what is the origin of the people in America with the afros, right? What is the origin? Mental liberation knowledge informs us that before woolly-haired people were called Negroes by Caucasians, we were called Ethiopians, and before we were known as Ethiopians by the Greeks, we were called Nubians by the ancients. You see, the term Indian is not in there. But, you know, you believe what you want to believe. The words Ethiopian and Nubian are the same in meaning. They both mean ether. The life-giving, light-giving, burning energies that the sun produces called prominences and sunshine. What does Indian mean? Okay? The Caucasian, the white man and woman never taught black people that sunshine is ether, because if they had, some of us would have been able to reason out our origin many years ago. But one of Caucasian purposes is to keep Ethiopians ignorant so we can be used against ourselves for Caucasian benefit and well-being. What's going on today? You know what I'm saying? What's going on today? Remember, when we say Ethiopian, we are not referring only to woolly-haired people born in the state of Africa known as Ethiopia. Okay. Now, my people, with that being said, they can't be like, go back to Africa. You know what I'm saying? Go back to your country or whatnot. Remember, when we say Ethiopian, we are not referring only to woolly-haired people born in the state of Africa known as Ethiopia, but woolly-haired people wherever they are, namely all people in the Ethiopian race. The root of the word Ethiopian is the word ether, and it means our origin is the sun, because the sun is 9, and 9 ether sun produces the Ethiopian race. Okay? All right, 9, you see what I'm saying? They ain't got nothing to give you other than you to tell you that you just need to call yourself an Indian. But what is the Indian tied to? Is it tied to the sun? is Indian tied to Eumelanin? They'll tell you the copper color races. You know what I mean? Like they scared to be dark skinned. But if it's melanin, or a better term, Eumelanin, then how do you receive Eumelanin? You understand what I'm saying? They not dealing with no science, so I consider them ignorant. If you just stuck in history, the 1800s, the 1700s, you dig what I'm saying? In this case, why would you want to be called an Indian? Who called you an Indian? Right? We was called something before the Caucasian called us anything. The Nubians, that page is gone. I keep forgetting that damn page is gone. But it's all good because the blackness that the Caucasian gets by basking in the sun is temporary. For as soon as he or she quits, this is going to go along with the information that I'm going to show from the ghost in this video, right? Because he's going to mention some terms, you know what I'm saying? He's going to mention some mutations that you need to know about, and you need to know why they occurred. You understand what I'm saying? The blackness that the Caucasian gets by basking in the sun is temporary. This is what we are talking about. This is very important. This blackness that the Caucasian gets by basking in the sun is temporary. For as soon as he or she quits basking, that person starts getting paler. Why? Why don't they retain the melanin? You dig what I'm saying? But it is different with the Ethiopian. Our blackness is inherent from the sun. That is our being, the sun's original offspring. He empowered us Ethiopians with the same power that he has, the power to be black and produce black offspring. No matter where we are on the planet, we still produce black offspring. So what's cracking off on the inside? The sun connected to the sun, the solar plexus, connected to your central nervous system. You understand what I'm saying? It's producing this blackness. In other words, our skin is black because, like the sun, we Ethiopians have in our reproductive system and marrow of our bones is what's called sun heat gene. Sun heat genes. Okay? People love the sun. You don't have to call yourself black, but that don't mean the better term for us in description and category is Indian. Okay? It's Indian. If you're not in the equator zone, this white dude is going to show you. And I'm showing you this because when y'all see the white man always got the truth. Right? The white man always got the truth. These sun heat genes become part of the blood and they emanate outward to the skin. Okay? You get into the melanocytes, the melanin and things of that nature. And our sun heat genes burn the skin black. Why is black being used in this case as description? Okay, when you say melanin, all right, there's 3 types, really 5, but there's 3 types of melanin. So when you say we're melanated, right, you're talking about the woolly haired beings and you're talking about dark skin to light skin beings with stray hair, dark skin to light skin beings with sunfire hair or woolly hair. Okay, so we got Eumelanin. Well, why is it Eumelanin? Okay, a dark brown pigment related to melanin. Now, some of these breakdowns, you will see black and brown pigment related to melanin. But I want you to pay attention to this. What is the U? Prefix. Okay, it means well, good, right? True and genuine. You see? Antonyms. But eukaryote any of the single-celled or multicellular organisms of the taxonomic domain, eukaryota, whose cells contain at least one distinct nucleus. You know we eukaryotic. Okay? You got to understand the words. So let's go back. My bad. The more sun heat genes one has, the blacker the person will be. The more sun heat genes, eumelanin, a person has, right? The more melanin they will exhibit through skin, okay? So don't get stuck on blacker, right? Therefore, being black is being superior. Now, what is the most superior thing when it comes down to blackness is space. And space is a container for life. Just like a fish tank. The tank itself is space. What's in it is life. And that tank contains that life. Now, they might say, hey man, that sounds kind of a little racist. Nah, it's not racist. It's not racist because the white dude is going to show you that it's not racist at all. This is right racism. This is how human beings were produced on this planet. Black people first with woolly hair. Okay? The suns of the universes are jet black and they are superior to all other universal bodies. Is that not correct? When you see the sun is stronger than any planet. In fact, suns create planets. So when the nine knowledge is telling you that you came from the sun, why would you want to be anything less? Why would you want to be anything less? So let's look at the etymology of Indian again. Okay. Whether it's Amerindian, Aboriginal Indian, Native Indian of America, American Indian. Okay, we got to understand language, right? We not even like none of these cats is in their original languages. You know, no information was given by way of what the Igbo or any African tribe, nation, state thought about the creation of the world and the people on it. We don't study, you know, black information from that standpoint. We getting our information from the colonizers. The sun is male and the mother earth is female. Okay, so I left you melanin. I wanted to jump back and show you what pheo is. Okay, a brown pigment produced by melanocytes. So you see that eumelanin and pheomelanin can't both produce only brown pigment. You understand what I'm saying? So this definition, it's a wiki, this little wiki definition. It's not complete. Pheo, gray or dark in color. Okay, gray or dark in color. Some definitions will give you dusky, right? Okay. Atom online, melanin, dark brown or black pigment found in animal bodies. Okay. Coming out of the Greek, black. Okay, you can't, in regards to what melanin is, you can't get away from the term black. Okay. Melano, black, dark, murky, black, of darkish color. Okay. Sanskrit, they said dirty. right? That's the Indians, dirty, stained black, Lithuanian, blue, and reddish. Okay? You see that? You see that? The word being used is way up in 2019. Okay? It was way down in the 1800s. All right, let's go back up to the info. The sun gives off ether in the form of what is called prominences. NASA, what is a solar prominence? Let's go back and see what it says. The sun gives off ether in the form of what is called prominences. Okay. Now look at the sun compared to the earth. You see what I'm saying? Now, it's people on the earth talking about creation, talking about God, talking about Allah, talking about Yahweh. This is language. Zeus, Fatah, Ra, Quetzalcoatl, you know what I'm saying? And the various gods in America that these so-called aboriginals don't know, don't talk about, don't know the name of, right? Okay. We on this little planet right here in connection to this sun that created it, wondering who God is. Okay. These books are of nature of nature, the God in nature. Let's go down and see what it says, if it says anything. NASA. What is a solar prominence? A solar eruptive prominence as seen in extreme UV light. A solar prominence, also known as a filament, when viewed against the solar disk, is a large bright feature extending outward from the sun's surface. Prominences are anchored to the sun's surface in the photosphere and extend outward into the sun's hot outer atmosphere called the corona. Okay, so this loop is a prominence, and this is given off ether. The sun has antenna called granulation, and Ethiopians' woolly hair looks like that, granulation. So our woolly hair may correctly be called granulation. If one puts a straight strand of hair closer and closer to a fire, that strand of hair will ball up, will granulate. My bad. I should be using this. Will granulate. That is, ball up. Okay. About the pygmies. Moreover, the sun heat genes in those who had to live in the Earth's original atmosphere had to be much stronger than those of mankind, who came much later. In other words, the sun heat genes in the African pygmies were so dense and potent in their bone marrow and reproductive system, they turned the hair kinky, as fire does to a straight strand of hair. Hence, woolly hair is superior to straight hair, as the suns are superior to other universal bodies. Woolly hair by nature assures the Ethiopian that he and she are the originals on the planet, not aboriginals. The originals on the planet. See, they hit you with aboriginal, but it's just an adjective. It was used in the 1660s, okay, for the first earliest existing people from the beginning prior to the colonizers coming in, okay? Anybody here when the colonizers came would have been considered aboriginal no matter what their skin color was, right? This don't mean first, okay? An original inhabitant, autochthon, is attested from 1760. Aborigine is a noun, okay? person, animal, or plant that has been in a country or region from earliest times. And that's 1858. Mistaken singular of Aborigines, 1540s. Aboriginal is considered the correct singular in English. The first inhabitants, the first ancestors of the Romans. This is possibly a tribal name, or from or made to conform to the Latin phrase ab origine, which means literally from the beginning. Okay, so when you saying aboriginal or aborigine, that's a Roman term. The Romans called themselves aborigines, right? Originally, one of the aboriginal peoples discovered in the Western Hemisphere by Europeans, 1570s. The original sense now is Native Americans, okay? 1570s, you know, you got that 1828 definition. Autochthonous, native, aboriginal, indigenous. There's a question if indigenous should be used. Primitive, noun, of men or livestock, original ancestor, the firstborn. Okay. Original. First in time, earliest. It is also an adjective. But then you have a noun as well. That from which anything is derived. Okay? Ancestry, 1400s. So this is predating Aboriginal. Predating Aborigine. And it means ancestry and race. Beginning. Source, though. Okay? Source. Boom. Right? We got the source. Descent, lineage, birth. Okay? The horizon. Become visible. Be born. Be descended. Where do we descend from? Boom. Okay? Proceed to start and things of that nature. So, the Ethiopian, that he and she are the originals on the planets, thereby the original personifications of the suns. We bigger Ethiopians evolved from the smaller Ethiopian, now called the African pygmies, who live in equatorial Africa. All right, so with that being said, let's kick in and let's find this dude's video. Okay, so this is Evo Ed, History, Genetics, and Human Skin Color. This is a dope video for the shortness of it. He's coming with the facts. Now, when it comes down to teach evolution, there's evolution and then there's revolution. And right now we are in the revolutionary cycle, okay? Where we need to understand that through evolution, we descended into the point we are at now, where we're spellbound. Through revolution, okay, and right knowledge, we can regain back our elite minds and break the spell. In some cases of this video, I'm going to pause and then maybe speak on it, okay? But my video was done 5 years ago, 4 years ago. His video was done last year. And if you look at my video, you can see how on point it was for me doing it prior to what the white man said. Okay. Now, let's go in and see what the video is talking about.
The first humans lived in Africa and almost certainly had dark skin. This was an amazing biological adaptation that our ancient ancestors had inherited. It allowed them safe.
Now, why do black people have a problem being from Africa when he just said our ancestors? He just said it. Our ancestors come from Africa. Okay. But he'll explain it further. Let's go.
Access to the sunny savanna grasslands of Africa, where our species first showed up on the global scene. Their dark skin protected their skin cells from the damaging and harmful effects of UV radiation. So how was it that our dark-skinned ancestors, at the earliest dawn of our...
The only problem that I have with his little pictures is he should have gave them afros, right? And not straight hair like that.
Time in a remote region of Africa, how did our species go from there to occupying just about every habitable patch of land on Earth and featuring a diverse...
Did he say, how did they go from Africa and go everywhere? Okay, pay attention.
Array of skin colors. To answer that, let's track human migration on a journey from Africa out into the world. The emergence of modern humans, or Homo sapiens, can be traced to somewhere around 250,000 years ago. Some of the earliest evidence that we have of humans comes from the Lake Victoria region of Africa, near the
What did he say? The Lake Victoria region from Africa?
Section of Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. But it wasn't until perhaps 100...
Now, you see, if you can pay attention to the Africa, right? If you can see the blue line in between the man and the female, that's the Nile River, starting from Lake Victoria.
1,000 years later, that significant human migrations really started to occur. Now, human movement across the Eurasian landmass and beyond wasn't a simple one-way flow of traffic. It's highly likely that there were multiple migration events and movement back and forth to and from different regions as humans spread out. So what I'll show here is a very simplified and general version of what we think likely occurred. When it comes to skin color, the most significant migrations started around 60 or 70,000 years ago. But before I get to that, it's worth noting that there is some evidence that humans had moved out of Africa as early as 120,000 years ago. But it's not clear how major these migration events were, or whether or not these early human groups persisted outside of Africa. That was an era when Neanderthals, or Homo neanderthalensis, dominated much of Europe. What does seem clear, though, is that around 70,000 years ago, humans had a stable expansion into the northwest Arabian Peninsula and into the Middle East. It was sometime during this period that there was a mutation in the KIT ligand gene, KITLG, in this particular ancient human population. The KITLG gene produces a protein that's involved in the production of melanocyte skin cells, which themselves are responsible for the production of the skin pigment molecule Eumelanin.
You see? So we got Africa and the Middle East now, but they're still Eumelaninites, right? They're still Eumelaninites. Okay. You should go into Eumelanin and really check it out, or just check my video, the video that I showed you in the beginning. You understand what I'm saying? It'll help you understand it. But this is where we need to be in understanding who we are.
This mutation impacted melanocyte production in that ancient human population. Subsequently, as different populations of humans migrated on from the northwest Arabian Peninsula.
Now you see how I went to K+, right? And they changed. This is over time, okay? Different mutations are going on now because the original people are outside of their original zone and environment.
they carried this mutation with them throughout much of the globe. And this mutation is still present in modern day humans who have Middle Eastern, Asian,
It shows they also
North,
came
Central,
back.
and South American or European ancestry. But this mutation is absent in people with sub-Saharan African ancestry. And that's one of the ways that we know where, in both time and space, this mutation occurred. Incidentally, a different group of humans, at around the same time, seems to have migrated directly from Africa, likely through the southern expanse of the Arabian Peninsula, and into the southern Indian subcontinent region down into Australia. This group was independent of the first and didn't experience the KITLG mutation, thus retaining the dark skin characteristic. The group of humans in the northwest Arabian Peninsula then starts to expand. And by 30 or maybe 40,000 years ago, they had moved northwest into modern-day Europe, and west into northern Africa, and northeast out, eventually up into the Siberian region of the Asian continent. As the European population continued its expansion into the western and northern reaches of Europe throughout the next 25,000 years or so, they had further genetic mutations that were selectively advantageous, particularly in geographic regions that experienced long, dark winters with little sun.
No sun. Okay. No sun.
This time, the mutations happened in the genes of two transporter proteins called SLC24A5 and SLC45A2. The proteins from these genes aid in eumelanin production, and if the function of the SLC24A5 protein or the SLC45A2 protein were compromised, it would result in less eumelanin production and lighter skin.
You hear that? If it's compromised, that means if there ain't no sun there, it's going to be compromised, and they're going to be
Meanwhile, one of the main populations that migrated northeast out of the Arabian Peninsula experienced a mutation in a gene called MFSD12. This protein is used in the production of a different pigment called pheomelanin, which is a reddish, yellowish, light brown color. This mutation actually made the resulting MFSD12 protein more effective and shifted skin pigment production away from the dark pigment eumelanin towards the lighter pigment pheomelanin. By around 25,000 years ago, humans carrying this mutation had reached the eastern edges of the Asian landmass. Humans then continued to migrate east across the Bering Strait and into the Americas around 15,000 years ago.
Okay, now this is where I feel like the Aboriginals in America, the black Aboriginals, you got to contend with this. Because if you got woolly hair, then how did you populate the Americas originally without being from Africa?
Then continued rather rapidly across North America, through Central America, and
now did Africans cross over that retained eumelanin and mixed in with these people prior to colonizations and created tribes and things of that nature? Yeah. But you didn't start in America as a eumelaninite.
Into South America. In addition to all of this, both the European and Asian ancestral human populations experienced their own independent mutations to the OCA2 and MC1R genes. Both OCA2 and MC1R are involved in the biochemical pathways that lead to eumelanin production. Mutations making one
and then
or
the mutations,
both
if
of these less
that's damaged,
effective, would result in lighter skin, which again would
and
be beneficial
albinoism
to humans at northern latitudes where there's less consistent sun exposure. By around 10,000 years ago, human expansion had covered nearly the entire globe, and the patchwork of gene mutations, combined with natural selection, led to a remarkably linear pattern between human skin color and latitude. Modern-day humans with ancestral origins from populations at low latitudes near the equator tend to have darker skin, and modern-day humans that have ancestral origins from populations at higher latitudes tend to have lighter skin. This system of eumelanin production is something that's present across nearly the entire animal kingdom, from dogs and cats to blue whales, to birds of all kinds, to stickleback fish, to ants, and even migratory locusts. On one level, our skin color is an intimate and deeply meaningful.
He said eumelanin. He didn't say pheomelanin, though.
Part of each of us as individuals. It's tied to the joy and richness of culture and tradition. Yet it also carries the weight of atrocities that humans have perpetuated against each other over thousands of years. And yet, on another level, it's actually a fairly basic biological trait. It's literally only skin deep, and it's something that's been in constant flux for the human species pretty much for as long as we've been on the planet. For more information about the genetic...
Okay, so with that being said, well, what he said, I'll leave it right there. And when it comes down to this information, right, you can't keep us stuck in the 1800s with the term Indian and not tell us the origins and where you came from. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, hitting us with major books and pages of descriptions and things of that nature, you know, that's not gonna run today. Being stuck on the Moors, none of that came up, right? It was just eumelanin and pheomelanin. That's played out. What is the origins of woolly-haired people, eumelaninites on the planet? That was explained. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, subscribe. We're going to keep coming with some more heat, right? We got to get past the spell. In fact, we got to break the spell and know who we are. That's 9 science, 9 eumelanin, and y'all hold it down. Peace.